free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatterspodcast1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
good morning, welcome along to NUFC Matters for another episode of Ask George. Good morning, George.
Hello, Steve. Hello, everybody.
Good to see you, mate. And as always, your opportunity to put some questions into the other Mitchell. After Neil Mitchell decided to come on this week, Mitch was good. Did you enjoy listening to that one, George?
Great, yes. I didn't interrupt because for obvious reasons, but yeah, I mean, Neil's like me. He has his own view and speaks it, and plus over the years involved with this and other things to do with football, he's collected quite a notebook of experts he can talk to, and so it's always worth listening to. Yes.
Good stuff. Excellent. Okay, get your questions in, please, folks. That's what this show relies on. Gary was in early. He said they're watching Germany last night, which wasn't great. Voldemort was a real standout for me. I think watching the game, I realised how our club isn't set up to play to his strengths or to give him the right support. Germany wingers were often overlapping and pressing, allowing Nick to sit deeper. Do we not have the players to play to his strengths? And are we needing a major rethink in how we play when he's in the side? What's your thoughts on that, George?
Well, I mean, I was astounded. For the first time last night, having heard all the rubbish that some of the so-called German experts were saying when he joined Newcastle United, what a mistake we'd made and all the rest of it. After last night, even they were saying, what a player. And he played like I like centre forwards to play, running onto the balls that were being put across the goal and running onto balls that were being played deep by the midfielders. Scored 2 beautiful goals, absolutely beautiful goals. And it just reinforced to me last night what a player we've got hold of. And yeah, Eddie's got to find, and I'm sure that's what they're doing, because I gather he's working on his own with Davy Jones at Benton at the training ground. So they're obviously working on ideas to get the best out of him. But if he played like for us, like he did for Germany last night, he would, well, he's already a bit of a hero for me. He would be outstanding, people would be purring about him. And I just hope Eddie and his coaches can fasten onto something that'll work for us like it does for Germany. But yeah, it was 2 outstanding goals. And on any match, they were real football goals is how I would describe it. And it was great. I mean, I only reason I troll the international scene is to look at our players when in the international team, like Tonali for Italy and the Brazilian lads, etc. But yeah, Voldemort silenced a few doubters last night. even in Germany. I mean, the German commentators were absolutely purring about him, and he was the outstanding player on the pitch. Every time he got the ball, defenders were going all sorts of ways. They just didn't know what to expect from him, and that's great. And some of his moves are moves, real football moves that sometimes you can't coach. You know, that they're inbuilt. That some of these very quick feet for a big man are just natural. You can see it's so easy for him. So yes, I agree. It would be nice if our coaching staff and Eddie particularly could manufacture a way of using him to his best. Because if they do, he'll be one of the outstanding strikers in the Premier League. I've no doubt about that.
Yeah. John Askew says, Voldemort class, I've got no doubt. Desperately hope when Whistle's fit, he plays them both with Nick as a number 10, two centre midfielders and a right and left-sided midfielder, but that might be dreaming. What's your thoughts on what John's suggestion is? Would you like to do that, or would you prefer to see Eddie stick to his usual style?
That's a good suggestion. It's not a problem. The issue is that Eddie has his view of how he's going to play. And it's who can persuade Eddie to do something different is the key. I mean, I've been looking forward, like everybody else, to Wissa playing because of his pace and his ability to hit the back of the net. I mean, in defence of Wissa, you know, people talk about him doing the same as Isak did. He didn't. He didn't go on strike. He trained throughout the time. He just had made his mind up he wanted to leave. You know, yeah, I agree with John. If there's a way of playing them both together, let's try it. But as I say, what I seen last night, if we can set things up to feed Wissa in the way that the Germans did last night, then we've got a strike force to be envied, because Wissa will be the same. You know, he's lightning quick, knows where the back of the net is, no question about that. So. But John's suggestions are one I would look to see them try, but it's who can persuade Eddie to change things. He has his mindset, and to be honest, he's not failed with too much since he came to the club. So you've got to give him a bit of his head, you know.
Gary says, with the games coming thick and fast and having so many players away on international duty, do you think this is having a negative effect on the time Eddie is having on the training pitch, and that could be helping to affect the results?
Well, I think Eddie's almost admitted that, hasn't he? Because he was just the other day in his press conference, he was saying that they don't actually get much time to train. Like when they come back, they've been playing, so they're winding down, they're training down rather than training up, and not doing much on the pitch. You know, most of it's video stuff and tactical stuff, and not the sort of on the pitch training that he would normally like. So I think Eddie's virtually accepted and admitted that that's been one of the problems. The chances are that, of course, when the nationals are away, he doesn't get them then either, and they're away playing in a different team, in a different system. And then they have to come back and pick it all up. But I'm confident that Eddie can get it right. You know, we're not much worse off, if we even are worse off than we were last year. And it all came good. And I'm confident it'll come good this year as well.
John's asking what you think of Voltemada and Elanga. He says, I'm thinking, am I wrong in thinking that the scale of improvement needed from Elanga means the chances of him thriving here are not good? You know, I mean, the new players, let's go through them. We've talked about Voltemada, so let's talk about Elanga. What's your feelings on Elanga, George? Do you think he's going to come good sooner rather than later? I
think he will. This you see flashes of it now and again. The good thing for me is that in most of the games he's played, particularly at St James's Park, he gets himself into really dangerous positions just by sheer pace. And I think I would say that, in my view, Elanga's current situation, he's changed club, changed where he lives, and he's expecting a baby. Not the perfect combination for anybody, including footballers. And I think when that all gets sorted out, his personal life gets all sorted out, and he's pushing a pram instead of having to chauffeur his pregnant wife around, you'll see a different Alanga. There's still that ace player in there. There are slight differences, of course. Eddie's playing him slightly different to where he played at Nottingham Forest. See, Nottingham Forest, they encouraged him to go deep and push forward, where Eddie tends to have him hovering about the halfway line and waiting for the through ball. Odd things like that, but for me, there's still that dangerous player in there, and he gets into those dangerous positions. So, yes, I'm disappointed he hasn't hit the ground running, because I think everybody thought, well, he's ready made for the Premiership. Look what he did. He did all of that at Nottingham Forest, and the recipient of all of that was Chris Wood scoring over 20 goals, which was unusual for centre forwards these days. But I'm convinced he'll come good.
Jeff says playing while pregnant shows commitment. I think he meant his wife, Jeff, not Alanga. Right. Classic, typical Jeff. He's busy drying wrecks at the minute, so he's taking it out on other people. Just ignore him. If this season turns out to be a bit tricky, Eddie's future shouldn't come under fire or under question for me. But how do you think PIF will react, George?
Oh, depends what you mean. Doesn't come right. I mean, I think if that by that you mean not getting into Champions League football again, or even European football, that would be something of a downer. But I think PIF would be loyal enough to give him an opportunity to put it right. Let's face it. What's he done wrong? He entered into a club that openly admitted it had a 5-year plan to even before it thought about winning things. And here we are in 3 years, twice in European football. We won a trophy that we're having, a domestic trophy that we hadn't done for 70 years. And all of that's been done under Eddie Howe. 2 visits to Wembley. My God, I remember the furore in the 50s when we visited twice. And other times when we've gone and weren't successful. Well, first time we weren't successful, but by Jove, we certainly were the second. So I think there's enough credit in the bank for Eddie to survive a slightly iffy season rather. But I'm optimistic, delusional George. I still think we'll have a good season. I'm not convinced the season's over. We're still in two domestic cups. We're still at the heart of the European Cup. I mean, we haven't lost a game. Well, certainly haven't lost a game at home, and we're 8th in the league.
Sixth in the league. We lost against Barcelona, of course.
Yes, another win at home, and we're virtually through to the next round. So yes, they're tough games, but that's when we respond, isn't it? We responded last time in the European Cup by whacking PSG, the eventual winners, 4-1 at St James's Park. So, I'm still reasonably confident, but then I'm the greedy little duck. We've got 2 cups. We've got the European Cup, and I still think we can do something in the league.
Tells us, George, I see so much negativity over Eddie Howe in the media and on social media. It gets me down. Then I listen to your great positivity and enthusiasm, and I'm fixed. So thanks a lot, he says.
Well, it's my pleasure. But remember, you're talking to delusional George. I think after this is the end of my 80th year of going to St James's Park to support Newcastle United. So my first game in 1945, and have gone all that time because that's the way the family were built. And even in the dark days, my uncles, my father and grandfathers, they could find something positive to talk about. Always positive about Newcastle United. Yes, they'd have their ifs and buts about particular players and about particular managers, but about the team, there was never any doubt. They were black and white through and through. And sadly, I've got to admit that's me too. Remember, I'm a fan, and fan is short for fanatic, and I'm a black and white fanatic.
Keep your questions coming in. Good morning, Alan. He says, morning, champs. Just got back from Lidl. Hall was man of the match for the young'uns. He says, Miley had a canny game too. Does George think both Tino and Hall will feature in the World Cup?
It's getting a bit late for them, is the honest answer. Tuchel's obviously getting his numbers together now, and it's been an unfortunate time for both of them to get their injury. However, they have money in the bank as well. Remember, it was Thomas Tuchel who sent Livramento to the under-21 tournament to get tournament practice. Now, he didn't do that by accident. He did that for a reason. And I think the reason was the tournament he was really thinking about was the World Cup. And he knows Lewis Hall inside out. For God's sake, he was the Chelsea manager that gave Lewis Hall his debut at Chelsea. So I think there's still a chance because Thomas Tuchel knows them very well and knows what he wants. And I also noticed, of course, that in the fullbacks that he's picking, some of them aren't even regular fullbacks for their clubs. You know, some of them are midfielders, particularly the Arsenal lads are midfielders as well as fullbacks. So, no, I think they've got a chance, but it's getting very, very late for them. The important thing for me now is that both are now training on grass and are actually playing proper football. Lewis Hall's already sat on the bench a couple of times. So they still have time, but it's they've got to move on quickly. It would be great if they were. I mean, you know, absolutely great to see both of those lads because they've worked hard in their own different ways to keep fit and all the rest of it.
Jeff says, George, do you have an opinion on the fate of HMS Warspite?
Oh, goodness.
What's that? What is it?
Well, it's an old warship that was involved in a battle and didn't come out of it smelling the roses. To be honest, some say it was a disaster. Others say it was quite heroic. So it's that sort of Marmite thing. You either liked it or you didn't.
Okay. Dean Morning, he says the initial euphoria of the takeover and the process laid out to the fans has expectations very high. How long do you think it'll take for us to be a constant top 4 team, George?
I don't think we're far away. Remember, as I said before, they came in. The PIF came in with a 5-year plan, and that's when they started. We might start winning things. Well, we're ahead of that by a long way. And I wouldn't be surprised if each window we've had, some of them have been an absolute disaster because we've done nothing. But when we've been able to buy, we've tended to buy quite well. Even this window, I mean, I knew we were after centre half, but I didn't realise we were going to get centre back. I didn't realise just how good the centre back was, this lad from Italy. So. Some would question the bringing Ramsey from Villa. When he's been on the pitch, Jacob Ramsey looks absolutely great to me, and others as well. So if we can have a couple more windows like that, to not just have the depth, but have depth and quality on the bench that can affect the game, I would think in another couple of seasons, I would be upset if we weren't regularly top 4.
Blue Rhythm Boy says, do you think Howe has earned the right to get away with a mediocre season?
Well, we haven't already talked about it slightly. Yes, I've got to say, bear in mind where we came from. You know, when he joined the club, I can remember various talk sport commentators laughing out loud at Newcastle supporters who were saying that he was going to do a good job, and even Jeff Stelling and others on Sky Sport were saying just before Eddie was appointed, well, Newcastle are down. No club's ever recovered from this position, and not only did we recover, we ended up in the middle of the league, and that's the turnaround he did. But other credit he's got to get is that he picked up a squad that the previous manager had absolutely run into the ground, in my opinion. And some of them are still there. Some of them are still in our first team. I mean, look at Jacob Murphy, Fabian Shaw. Go through them. They're still have enough quality to be at least be on our bench, if not in the team. In fact, I found it interesting the other day that Tonali was doing his chosen 11 that he would play with. And who did he pick on the right side? Jacob Murphy. That astounded me from Tonali. Eddie's, it's not just about what Eddie's doing on the pitch now. It's what he's done since he came. And while we're talking about quality on the bench and all that sort of thing, I would just sit back and think, well, look at the players' careers. He's changed. Joe Linton, for example. I mean, we now have a midfielder that lots of other players are run scared from. He's just, he changed that centre forward who couldn't trap a bag of cement into something which is quite phenomenal in football terms. So, and persuaded other people to join me. Although Amanda Staveley gets the credit for persuading Trippier, but I'm sure Eddie had something to do with it. And then Bruno came in when a player of his quality could probably have gone somewhere else for a lot more money. Yet he was persuaded to come to Newcastle. So yes, Eddie's got enough credit in the bank to survive a weaker season. But I the greedy little duck that I am, doesn't think that's going to happen. I think we'll recover.
George, as a former fullback, do you think it's better to have a player who concentrates on one side and becomes world class, or who can be very good and play on both? Says Barry Hogan.
No, I like fullbacks that can use both feet, and I suppose it has to do with the coaches that I was used to at St James's Park, who were two international class fullbacks, Benny Craig and Joe Richardson, and they always emphasised the ability to use both feet. People who watch the programmes will know that the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end when I hear so-called seasoned commentators who are ex-professionals talking about right-sided and left-sided players and all this sort of thing. And he does this because he's right-footed. And I just don't get that. The things that they had in place at St James's Park when I was a kid was all geared to making you be able to use both feet. And I like fullbacks that can. And some of our best have. Bobby Cowell, Dick Keith, Alf McMichael tended to be very left-sided, but could be pressed to the right if he had to be, and so on. And Frank Clark, big Frank Clark, could play on the right. Alan Kennedy was capable of playing both sides. So, no, I like the fullback that's capable of being switched, like Kieran Trippier. I mean, Kieran Trippier has played for England on both sides, not just Newcastle, and that's what I like. And Tino Livramento is clearly in that mode because he doesn't have any trouble switching from one side to the other. Lewis Hall's not had the opportunity yet, but I'm quite sure when we see Lewis Hall for a persistent season, we'll see that he can play on the right side as well.
Okay, George, do you think the daft pre-season games in places such as Asia and Australia are worth it? It seems like there's always a hangover from these kind of trips, says Bri.
Well, when football was always about money, especially at Newcastle United. Ask Stan Seymour. Goodness gracious, when we became known as the Bank of England club. It even happened then, and the plain fact, not a sorry fact, the plain fact is that football is even more than ever about money, and if somebody dangles a really good deal, they'll take it, even in days gone by. I mean, I've talked to you, Steve, about after the '52 Cup win, and we went on the tour of Africa, that was one of the prizes for winning the cup that year. And it was hosted by the British Imperial Tobacco Company. And they went to Africa and played 19 games in 30 days and travelled 7,000 miles. And when they came back, there was only about 3 weeks before the season started. And they were on their knees. We were all hoping it was going to be the third win of the FA Cup so we could keep it. And we never got near because they were knackered from Africa. It took them till Christmas to get into that stride, when by then it was too late. So, yeah, they are a nuisance. But the thing that I console myself a little bit with is that now we have all these sports scientists and performance people around who help them to recover. And I think we do recover a lot quicker than we used to, but they can be a nuisance. I'll be honest with you, very rarely take in many of the pre-season friendlies and things because I don't know, there's something about them that's just a hangover.
They're
Yes,
boring.
absolutely can be. And you know fine well, you're going to see at least 2 or even 3 teams on the pitch with the amount of substitutions they'll make. It's not a 11 against 11. It ends up as 20 against 20 by the time the match is finished. So it doesn't always appeal to me. But
They weren't always appealing. Like when I started supporting Newcastle as a kid, I remember going to Brøndby at home and there was 2,000 of us there.
Yeah.
I think we featured on the North East News when Liam O'Brien scored, running up and down the Gallagher's because there was nobody there.
Yeah, nobody in it. Yeah, and yeah, even before that, you know, I remember going in when they used to let you in for free, when they used to play the possibles against the probables.
Yes.
That was basically the first team forwards against the first team defence in a what was really a practice match. But they open the gates and let the fans in, and it's quite often we've had more than 2,000 at that than it did against Brøndby. So no, they're not my favourite, but I do understand the need for them for the club.
Do you think Eddie Howe will look to a reinvention? I guess he means about the sides and the tactics. That's from Roger Cook.
He's a man who's not averse to learning and changing, and I'd be very surprised if he, as this season's gone on, I think he kind of admitted it really the other day in one of his press conferences that you know, he was having to have a rethink because of some of the things that's happened. So it wouldn't surprise me if he had some sort of rethink, depending on the players that come in, of course. If we get more in the next window, if we buy more seasoned Premiership players, and rumours are already circulating about who that may be, then I think he probably could, because he's an intelligent guy, and he's seeing in Voltemada what lots of others have seen, and he'll want to use that to the best for Newcastle United. And it wouldn't surprise me if he has some sort of rethink in the next 6 months, certainly before next season.
Okay. What kind of team would you start against Man City, says Tom?
Oh, I would pick the tried and tested, the ones that work best for us. And that would include, for me, if Lewis Hall's fit, if he's fit enough to sit on the bench, he should be fit enough to play. And I would like to see Dan Burn given a bit of a break, because he's been hung out to dry, in my opinion, a couple of times when he didn't need to be. So I'd like to see the usual team, but with Lewis Hall in. I think it's too soon for Livramento, and maybe the appearance of Mr. Wisser in some form by then. So I would pick the strongest 11 we've got, and that includes Gordon, a fit Gordon on the left, and the right has got to be Elanga or Murphy. But I think I would stick with Elanga and give him the opportunity to have a go, and then the usual in midfield. So
Would you go five at the back? Would you go 3 centre halves, 2 wing backs if we had the capability of doing that, or would you be more inclined to do the 4-3-3 and stick with?
No,
these?
I think the way in which we've performed against the top teams in the past, Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, is with four across the back, and 3 across the back rather, and 2 full backs pushing forward. It seems to work for us. It seems to work for against those teams, and while we've, if you look at the stats for those games, we've conceded possession, but we've been far more dangerous when we have had the ball, and that's where I'd like to see him go, because Manchester City are coming into form and just at the right time, aren't they?
Yeah, yes, you're all right. Mozeb Wissa is due to return for the Everton game, which isn't too far away, as you say. 2 weeks today, so that's good. Dean will take your question before the ads. We play Sunderland in 29 days. He says, I'm not looking forward to it. Do you think we'll get an early Christmas present of 3 points, George?
Yes, I do. Even though I watched that game last Saturday and was pleasantly surprised at what I saw. It was an excellent Premiership game, one of the best I've seen, I've got to admit. But I think they've had a fairly gentle run into the Premiership, I think, and they're now starting to see the other end of it. And by the time they come to us, they'll be cock-a-hoop, just ready for knocking off the top.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. Okay, don't forget, next Friday is the Christmas do. We've sold about 50 tickets, I think, for this, so get yourself along. Obviously, we're fundraising on the night for Age UK North Tyneside Dementia Sector.
Looking forward to it.
It'll be good. Warren will be there with Joe. They'll be doing a little talking. Sid's going to DJ on the night, which is great. And Adam's going to play a little bit of an acoustic set on the night. So that should be great. So get yourself along. Tickets are £12. And as I say, from our perspective, we are trying to raise as much money as we can. I am also going to have copies of this book. So please bring a tenner if you're coming along on the night, if you haven't bought the book already. Me and Singe, who did the book together, Singe will be coming along on the night. all proceeds from the book are going to Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. Thanks really to Penny Print, who in Dunstan were kind enough to, of course, do a vastly reduced price on the print, and our good friends Gary and Sharon, who watch the show regularly, who were very kind to pay for the printing bill as well. So it means the book has been done by me and Singe for free, and all proceeds from this book can go to the charity. So we'll have copies of that. There'll be a tenner. Bring a tenner along and help us raise some money for Age UK North Tyneside Dementia on the night. Don't forget as well, there are a couple of dues on sale on Woucher now. Supermat and Gibbo are back together. Now, obviously, we haven't been able to do a talk-in with Malcolm or Gibbo together, with Malcolm not being so well for about a year. But he's firing on all cylinders now, as I'm sure you know if you watch the show on Thursdays. And those tickets are now on sale on Woucher, as are the Peter Beardsley tickets, which is a week later with Joe Allen. Again, those tickets are available on Woucher. They'll make a cracking Christmas present for somebody. Make sure you get yourself onto Woucher. You've got about 5 weeks to Christmas. So if you know a black and white fan who would love a night out and meeting some legends, and get yourself onto there. If you want to buy them direct from the site, of course, you can just go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk and you'll be able to buy your tickets on there. Thanks to everybody who bought the Shearer balls as well. Some of you might have seen on my social medias this week that Alan Shearer kindly signed 25 footballs for me, which I had left over from the 260 dinner a few years ago. And what I've done is I've donated them to the Age UK North Tyneside Centre. They were over the moon about that, and we sold out in 2 days. So thank you to everybody who did that. Didn't even get a chance to promote it on the show. They were that popular. So thank you very much for that. And finally, we did play last night at the end of the show, the Fallon Male Voice Choir. I've had to take it off the programme because it is copyrighted, sadly. But those of you who watched live will have seen it last night. So that's why I put it on there. It will be launched on Monday, the Bladen Races. It's the Falling Male Voice Choir's attempt to get to Christmas #1 by singing the Bladen Races. So dafter things have happened. And if you look up behind it with downloading it on Monday, then that will certainly go a long way to helping the lads achieve their dream. It takes about, I think it's around about 30,000 downloads to get into the top 40 these days. So I think if all 52,000 people download that at the match, we've got a good chance of at least getting a chart place in anyway. So you never know, but spread the word. I will be sticking that out on our social medias. You'll be able to see the video, and we're just asking you to share and donate. That's basically it. So it's a great opportunity.
A listen of the Bladen Races, as I've heard for a long time. So yeah, give it a listen, guys and girls. It's good.
Amazing, mate. Amazing. It was a pleasure being there and listening to them. I got quite emotional. It's something I would probably end up doing myself in the future, getting along and giving them support, I think, when I'm a bit older, I think. But yeah, very good. Jeff, thank you for your super sticker, mate. Much appreciated. But that's enough waffle from me. Thank you very much. A lot of people comment. Thank you, mate. Yeah, listen, I enjoy raising money for them. And, the updates I've had this week have been absolutely superb from Sonia at the charity. They've had a trip out to Beamish, some of the dementia sufferers this week, and they've been to a show, and that is all directly from the money that we've managed to raise. So the fact that we're doing this on a regular basis is definitely helping, which is great. And it's nice to get updates about where your money's going as well. So thank you to Sonia for that. Yes, I might go along and sing. Was I? Yeah, you can come along and give us some support. Jeff has a question which isn't Warship related. He says, do you think Bruno is getting a bit casual with his layoffs, or do you think he's being targeted more, George? Good question, Jeff.
Oh, I think he's been targeted more. Yeah, there's no question about that. And certain players have been assigned to look after him. You can see it. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to see in the West Ham games that Paqueta, his Brazilian mate, marks him out of the game now. You know, he's got an Indian sign on Bruno when we play West Ham, no question about that. And I think other teams have done the same because he's such an influence. If he gets hold of the game, he can tear you apart. The only bit about Bruno that concerns me is that he had disability when he first came. In fact, even up the last year when he was surrounded by players, he could take the ball with 3 or 4 people around him. And he used to have a beautiful body swerve. And within seconds, the 4 players were lost and he was away. And he seems to have stopped that for some reason this year. Whether it's because of the marking's tight there or what, I don't know. But yeah, just a little bit shine gone off his game this year. But let's face it, when you play as intensely as he does, game after game after game, it would be amazing if he doesn't have a spell where he's not quite the 100% out for us 100%, where for an ordinary player it's probably more than 100%, if that's possible. So yeah, there is a slight hiatus, I think, at the moment, but I think it's sadly going along with the hiatus the team's having. Whether it's that having the captaincies affecting them, I don't know. I thought it did at the beginning, but very, very slowly over the last couple of years, he's made the captaincy his own, and particularly from the Carabao Cup last year and right up to the final. He made a lot of inroads into being a great captain. And I think, we've got the best of him to come as well, I think.
Barry Hogan's fishing for compliments. He says, who is your favourite member of the fans forum panel?
Oh, Barry, that's a good one. I've got to say, it's a very, very good group that Steve's put together. I mean, and we've just had the addition of young Adam to it as well, and he's been a great addition in my opinion. And I've got to separate being friends with the lad, because some of the people I meet as friends now in the Irish Centre before the game and sometimes after the game. So it's a difficult one, and you can tell I'm playing for time, can't you?
Yeah. Jeff says Rex. Jeff says Rex. Jeff said thank you, George, and then put Rex.
Yeah, Rex is always in popular demand, isn't he? And why not? He's black and white, so there you go. Now I've got to say that if you want down to earth football savvy from the heart, then it's got to be Darren, big Darren. Darren never changes. You can't persuade Darren to change. You know, what you get from Darren is Darren. You know, there's no two ways, and if he doesn't like what's happening, he shows that as well. He's got a miserable face as I have when we're not doing well, and Steve uses it on the program occasionally, especially when certain other people are talking. So yes, I mean, if it just wanted down to earth, everyday working man's, and I don't mean that in any derogatory sense, look at the Newcastle United and football, then Darren comes out on top.
There we go. Thank you for asking that, Barry. Forever now, whenever I introduce Darren, it'll be called George's favourite. So there we go. Can you see Sandro becoming a captain for us? Says Roger.
Yes, I think if it wasn't that Bruno was there, he'd be pushing now. I mean, he's captain Italy from right up for under 16s, right up to under 23s, and I think he has captained the first team when some of the captains gone off. They've handed the armband to Sandro. So yes, there's a captain in Sandro as well, and he's another thinker. I mean, that gives me a chance to talk about our squad. Really, I've never seen us have a squad with so many really intelligent people in it. I mean, they're multinational, but they're also very, very adroit and able to hold a conversation in some of them in 4 or 5 languages. And if you see these little bits of YouTube that we get from Benton and the silly games they play, they're a bright bunch of people. So, and I think that's good. I think that's good for the club and good for us as supporters.
What's your thoughts on Rob Edwards leaving Borough for Wolves? Says Blue Rhythm Boy.
Oh, the worst of football, in my opinion. He was in a hole after Luton, and Mr. Gibson at Borough rescued him. give him an opportunity to build his career again. And his thank you was to say, well, he's used the horrible get out, in my opinion. This is my dream job. How can it be a dream job to go from a team that's possibly going to be in the Premiership next year to a team that's not possibly going to be in the Premiership next year? There's only one reason: money, and that really disappoints me. I liked him as the manager when he was at Luton, because he was refreshing when he brought them up and did some refreshing things, and outsmarted us a couple of times, if we remember. No, I think what Edwards did just demonstrated the worst bit of football, that lightly means nothing in the end of the day. That they are people in the game, players, managers, etc., directors, who are in it for themselves. They're not in it for the team or the game. They're in it for themselves. And I'm afraid Rob Edwards just went into that category for me. I couldn't believe it when I heard what was happening. I could believe Wolves approaching him. Of course they would. He's done well at Middlesbrough. But when Steve Gibson, he went to Steve Gibson and said, "I'd like to talk with him," and Steve Gibson did exactly what I would have done. That was the end of him. Sacked him on the spot. Goodbye. You're gone. But that's the worst of football for me, to be honest, Steve. And it's so disappointing. But it's always been there. We've had it at Newcastle in the past, way back in the past, right down to the 1940s. We've had managers that disappeared, George Martin in '49 just didn't come in one Monday morning. Just left a letter on his desk saying he'd signed for Aston Villa. It can't get much harder than that. But so it's always been in the game. Just so disappointing to see it happen to Steve Gibson at Middlesbrough, who's a chairman I do admire, an owner I do admire, as someone who's upfront, dead straight, nothing iffy about Steve Gibson at all. And to treat that man like that after he gave you virtually rescued your career, because Rob Edwards after Luton was gone, he was dead. So I'm sorry if I've gone on, but it is a bit of football that I do not enjoy. It really isn't.
We'll get some strange questions on here. Ches, I think you've won the award this morning. Question for George: would you rather have a thick unibrow, the same thickness of Tom Selleck's moustache, or no eyebrows whatsoever?
Now, eyebrows are one of my problems. Every now and again when I'm doing this, I'll get an email from Dubai saying, "Trim your eyebrows, Dad." And that's a fact. If I let them grow, I don't know if there's many around who will remember Dennis Healy, the posh politician.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if I let mine grow, I could rival Dennis Healy for eyebrows, I tell you. So the short answer is I'd quite happily get rid of them altogether, so I don't have to worry about them. Because the other thing I find now that I'm doing all of this myself, because I don't always have the opportunity to go and see my hairdresser, Louise, who's a mad fan of the programme and of the team. Is that sometimes I make a mess of them out. I virtually have to cut them off to let them grow again, but they grow very quickly. So my instant reaction is I could quite happily do without them.
Gary says, in relation to that Bruno question, George, are our big players being overused, which is causing fatigue and drops in performance?
I think that the short answer to that is probably yes. They are outstanding for us, and they become outstanding for their country. So the natural order of things is that they'll get well used. Whether they get fatigued is how the people who are using them, how they treat them. And as we refer to something else I said earlier, is that with all the sports science and performance people around these days, their ability to recover seems to be great. I mean, there was an amusing bit the other day with Eddie Howard before one of the matches. Was it West Ham or Brentford? I can't remember. And the reporter asked about Bruno, saying that he was knackered. And Eddie Howe laughed and said, "Well, I just spoke to him this morning, and he said he was on top of the world." So it gives you an indication of who to believe. If you ask a player, they're always ready to play. And Bruno is one of those, as are the others. So yes, they're great, but they have means of recovering now that we didn't have in the past. In fact, recovery wasn't even a word we used in days gone by. It was just another couple of extra laps around St James's Park. So yes, I think there is a danger that they get overused, but sadly, that's the part of being the best, isn't it? If you've got the best players, people are going to want them and use them.
Tom Dixon says, George, do you think Steve Bruce will get another job in football?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing so certain as that somebody will be daft enough to appoint him. I mean, oh dear, yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen. He'll find a way back in. Somebody will recommend him for something. I mean, I'm happy to recommend him as the replacement of Manchester United if they like. But no, yeah, there's nothing so certain. I'm afraid. You know, I live. You probably all know that I live fairly close to the training ground. And at pre-season, when he used to have his mini Olympics, I'd sometimes find Dwight Gale, Callum Wilson, all the players who shouldn't be doing 1,500 meters or marathon runs, sitting on my garden fence at the bottom of my street, heaving their guts up because he was making them run at 2-3 miles, you know, when they shouldn't be, because players with muscle things should be treated gently, but not Brucey. No, go on a run. If ever in doubt, send them on a run. So yeah, no, somebody will fall for that again.
Have you ever had an ice bath? Says Jeff.
Yes.
Was it good, George?
Very, very stimulating afterwards. Getting in is a real shocker, but the benefits afterwards are manifold. I mean, it does wonders for your circulation, for example.
Okay, let's get another question here. Start, bench, sell. Shearer, Kane, Rooney, George.
Start, bench, sell. Oh, I despite what Harry Kane's done, I would still start Shearer. What was the third one? Kane, Shearer, Kane, and
Rooney.
Ooh, it's a tough one. Shearer would start, and because of his greater all-round ability, Rooney would be on the bench and cash in on Kane.
Does the fan base and our passion put more pressure on the players and manager? How hailed is our best manager ever, but many surely the time to reflect and talk about that is after his journey ends. I mean, Eddie often says that, judges when I'm gone kind of thing. But yeah, does the fan base put more pressure on?
Inevitably, especially in modern day media. I mean, goodness, I don't know how older managers in the days gone by when we were winning cups and things would have responded to the sort of contact. I mean, all the players are on social media. Eddie professes not to be, but I still think from some of the things he says, he obviously gets reported to him quite regularly from somewhere. So yes, I think it does put pressure on, and especially if the players hear it and see it. I mean, some of the things that this last couple of weeks, not just about the players and the club and the manager, the club itself. I mean, I watched even last night a short video on something called the Magpie channel. I've never heard so much rubbish in my life. Absolute garbage talking about PIF walking away and because of the European, the debate we've been having, Steve, about the fact that we've got this European game, so that means we're not going to get a stadium. What absolute drivel. And if we can see it, everybody else can see it.
Yeah, I mean that's your opinion, George. I don't like to get into any slanging matches with people like the Magpie channel and stuff. They've put a lot of good stuff out years, and they've been around the block. But that's your opinion, George.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and as you know, I'm likely to say what I think occasionally. But it's that kind of thing that if we can see it, everybody else can. And I've no doubt that. Do you think for 1 minute that an organisation like PIF doesn't look at these things? And having been part of a promotional video for them when the takeover took over, I could see how sincere they were in what was coming to Newcastle United. So those sort of things will sting a little bit for them, and they'll want to put it right.
Yeah. Question, George, would you bench VAR for good? Says Jeff.
Yes. Yes, it's one of the disappointments of the electronic system, in my view, is that we've adopted it, and the equipment works, everything works except the human element. Why football has to be so different to every other sport that uses this sort of stuff? When I watch cricket, when I watch rugby, when I watch rugby league, even Australian rules football, for God's sake, one of the most fierce sports that you could watch. And they use it, and it's used to good effect. Football are just making a mess of it, and it's the human element that's going to get the thing done away with, because it's why has the question I keep asking, and you've heard us say this before, why don't we allow the supporters, I think they do in rugby league, cricket, to hear what's being said at Stockley Park and what angles they're asking for? I mean, there's fixed in my memory is a couple of seasons ago, we had a game against Crystal Palace where there was an obvious push in the penalty area by the Crystal Palace fullback called Mitchell, incidentally, and the Stockley Park people showed every angle bar the angle that showed the push, and people in the ground didn't see all of that until they got home and they saw it on Sky TV, and you think, well, hold on, what's that about? So why not show all the angles? Why not show all let people listen to all the conversations like they do in other sports, like they do in cricket, like they do in rugby, like they do in rugby league, etc., etc. So I think unless they get their act together quickly, it would be best done away with. The best bits of electronics that's worked and benefits us is the bits that ensure goals, which is the object of the game. I used to think, the technology in the ball that says it's over the line and it's a goal, and that seems to have worked brilliantly. I think there's only a couple of examples where it didn't work, all the time they've done it. And now this new automatic offside thing it seems to be working better. However, I have issues with that. Is it really offside if your toenails in over the line? In my day, it used to be the body, not the toenail that decided whether you were offside or not your toenail. So even that's occasionally comes into question. But VAR's damaged itself, in my view, and it's the human element that's damaged it, not the technology.
Yeah, semi-automated offside seems to work, but breaks down occasionally, says Gary. Blue Rhythm Boy says, I like the Magpie channel. Personally feel Renty covers all the angles which are being reported by the media, but with a level head. So it's all about opinions. Look, I mean, for me, everyone's got the right to an opinion, and nobody's opinion is, more valid than the next.
that wasn't a criticism of the whole channel. It was just that particular bit that came out yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, so subscribing to the notion that because we're getting European football, that's the end of the stadium, that's the end of PIF, is just a step too far. That's all it was about. No, I watch the channel and enjoy it, quite frankly. But
there we go. So there we go. That's two questions to finish. Question for George: who's going to win the boxing tonight? Chris Eubank Jr. or Conor Benn?
Oh, I think it'll be a rerun of the previous one, and Chris Eubank Jr. will win it.
Yeah, that's who my money's on. Chris Eubank Jr. will win tonight, I think. Last question to JJ. George, do you think that engineering universities could design a better shin pad with modern materials, Kevlar, carbon, nanotechnology, etc.?
Absolutely. I've often, the other side of football are boots.
Too thin.
Yeah, absolutely.
No protection.
But there are materials that you could make boots very thin and still have the protection because they have the strength. So there's lots of sport and things I think could benefit from engineering things. I mean, all the big sports use university departments. I mean, I know the engineering school at the university where I'm still a visiting fellow do lots of work for. I better not mention it. For one of the big F1 teams, and to get involved in things like wind tunnel tests and that sort of thing. So other sports are using it. Time football did. Not just my bonnet, but something that Neil and I talk about a lot is ladies football. We're very convinced that it's time a manufacturer had the sense to design a ladies' football boot, not have ladies just wearing men's football boots, because without being sexist, there are things in our physiology which we can't deny, which nature planted, not man, and there's no question that a woman's foot can be substantially different to a man's foot. So to just stick a man's boot on a woman's foot seems to me, and certainly I know. I'm not speaking out of turn for Neil, but I know he agrees that it's time somebody had the science and the wit to design a ladies' football boot.
Great stuff. That is the hour up. Back tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Freezer Crowd. Me and the guys will be getting together to look back on the last 7 days in Northeast football. But thanks to all the admin in the moderators. Thanks to everybody watching. Over 250 watching across all the platforms. If you're watching somewhere else, please jump onto YouTube, search NUFC Matters, hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Take care, George. See you soon.
Thank you, and thank you everybody. Good watching, and great to know you're there.